We need paragraph.
Hopefully we'll be having those plans submitted to the city for final approval soon.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, will you please stand, join with me in the pledge to our flag and our country. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing for our prayer, please.
Holy God, as the City Council gathers here, we thank you for calling us together for this meeting. This is our privilege and our responsibility to support, foster, and advance the mission of the City of Guthrie, Oklahoma. We depend upon you to guide it and will bring it to fulfillment. Enable us to draw upon the wisdom and experience of yesterday as we respond to the questions and concerns of tomorrow. Give us freedom to speak the truth boldly and with kindness. Give us patience to listen openly, without prejudice. Give us confidence to discover and explore new possibilities. Give us wisdom to discern what is right and good and just, and the courage to do it. All glory and honor and praise are yours, Holy God, for all ages. Amen.
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 I really like
Thank
your
you,
prayer.
Pastor. That is superb.
Awesome prayer.
That was superb.
Hey, Jim. Just read.
Okay, I'll open up our Guthrie Public Works Authority meeting of June 21st. Second item on the agenda is public comments, community announcements, community recognitions. Do we have any recognitions or announcements? None. Item 3 on the agenda is the consent agenda with one item. Item A on the consent agenda is the approval of the minutes of the June 7th Public Works Authority meeting. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Submit your votes, please.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval then of this council for the consent agenda item A. Item number 4, discussion possible action designating additional sources of leverage matching funds of approximately $310,000 to receive additional funding of approximately $600,000 on a CDBG contract grant for water system improvement. Leroy, are you taking that?
I am. At the time we did the agenda, we didn't have the contract number. They're doing the original $299,999 was one contract, 18,230 CDBG 17. The new contract that you will approve tonight for the additional 595,558 is contract number 18547 CDBG 21. And so city clerk will need to use that number in the minutes. They did it as two separate contracts. When we originally did the grant application, we had applied for $299,999. We were going to provide a local match of $585,650 for a project just under $886,000. During the time period from the March 12, 2021 project cost estimate by Myers Engineering and the May 25th, 2022 project bid opening, we experienced unprecedented inflation in construction costs. The construction bid come in more than double the estimate. So through a joint effort of our Ms. Woodward with Park Hill Engineering, it's our grant administrator, Bill Myers, our project engineer, Kim Biggs, city clerk, and myself, we prepared a letter of request for additional funding from the Department of Commerce for this project. It's my understanding the supplemental grant of $595,558 is the largest supplemental grant they've ever given for a project. I put a spreadsheet at your desk And I show the first line is the original grant application. The second line shows that we will provide $309,907 additional dollars match, combined with the $596,000 roughly of CDBG dollars. So our portion of the project, instead of being 66%, will now be 50% of the project. The $309,000, this is the non-entitlement units of ARPA funds that we got. And in September of last year, we got $1,018,000. In September this year, we're programmed to get just under $5,000 in one payment and $1,023,000 in the second payment in September, for a total of non-entitlement ARPA funds that come direct to the city of $2,046,370. We are going to take, in the green, we had originally applied to the state for state ARPA funds for a $1.7 million ARPA water project. And we were going to match it 50-50 with $865,000 out of our local ARPA funds. We're now adjusting that, and that's where we're coming up with the $309 additional dollars to match this CDBG project, because it's a priority project. The state ARPA funds are still in a state of flux. We don't know exactly how they're going to work. One possible scenario, there is a current program through the OWRB where cities get a 25% write-off or grant in the project. They're thinking they may use the state ARPA money to buy that down to 75% grant. And if that's the case, our match on that one will only be 25% instead of 50%, so we'll be just fine. But we don't know. We'll just have to adjust at the time. But staff would recommend that we accept these additional dollars so we can place this 1920 water main that runs from the water plant
I don't
along
think we can
Division.
stop what we're doing. I think we gotta keep moving.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Submit your vote.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval then to accept the $595,000 plus in CBDG contract 18547.
Yes, CDBG 21.
21, with matching funds of $309,000, $907,000 from the city. Unanimous approval on that. Item number 5, discussion and possible to award bid number 2022-4, the CBD Water System Improvement Project to Young Contracting for $1.6 million.
This is a low bid. Bill Myers with Myers Engineering interviewed the subcontractor to actually be doing the work, and he was very satisfied with that contractor's work experience and performance on other jobs, and he recommends that we award it to the low bid.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
Let's see the votes. Unanimous approval from those present at this time. Councilman Channel has stepped out. To approve the bid number 2022-4 to Young Contracting in the amount of $1.6 million. Item number 6, discussion possible action to approve change order number 1 with the D. Owens Construction for the fire hydrant replacement project.
Tenny will cover this one.
Kenny, you get the big one. So we save money on this one.
Change order number 1 will decrease our original contract by $4,510 due to us pulling for the, or removing for the fire hydrants that we originally had on the contract, fire hydrant 143, 144, 349, and 360. we had to delete these fire hydrants out of the project due to not having adequate valves in our system to shut down the main lines. It was going to prolong the project with the contractor lengthy periods of time. What we did, we replaced those fire hydrants with 4 others that are case 1 hydrants within our system, 69, 70, 103, and 173. It also has, I believe there was 3 hydrants in there that did not have valves on the actual hydrant itself. We added those once they was dug up and discovered no valves were on them. And then we had 1 hydrant out on Heather Road that we had to add a 6-inch and a 24-inch riser on, bringing the total contract, decreasing the total contract by $4,510.
And this is what you want?
It's gonna have to have, we'd have to approve it.
Yeah, and we'll have to go back after we use the, we've got the new inserter valve machine. It was just gonna take a be extremely timely for us to go out with our crews, put in a bunch of inserter valves throughout the system to isolate a small enough area that they could go in and replace these hydrants.
This is the best solution.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna approve the change order.
So the four that we're taking out won't be ignored. We'll just come back and do those.
That's what I was going to ask.
Right.
The
Yes.
4 that are taken out, are they still functional?
No, we'll have to go in and isolate
Okay.
our system down small enough with the inserter valve machine to where
But our
then we can go in
longer-range
and
plan
replace
is to go
those.
ahead and replace them eventually.
Yes.
Okay. Did I hear a motion?
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval then to approve change order number 1 with D. Owens Construction concerning the fire hydrant replacement project. That being the last item on our Public Works Authority meeting. We are adjourned. I call to order our city council meeting of June 21st. The second item is the consent agenda items A, B, C, and D. A is the approval of the minutes of the June 4th city council meeting. B is the approval creating a sports field hotel tax fund and related bank account. C is the approval for the CPI amendment for property lease for Latham Investment Properties at the airport. And D is to confirm the Public Works Authority action designating additional funds, the $309,000 that we just previously spoke about in the previous meeting, and receiving CBD funding for $595,000.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion on any of those, A, B, C, or D? Hearing none, submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval then to approve the consent agenda items A, B, C, and D. Item number 3, discussion and possible action to approve Second Amendment to the 2019-2024 Joint Airport Operating Agreement regarding appointment of Guthrie trustees. Shalon?
This means they get to carry guns, right?
No, it's not. Opening it up to the common.
Hi there.
No, just use pillars.
So
All right.
this amendment would expand the ability to recruit and/or attract qualified candidates to serve on the Guthrie Edmond Regional Airport Board from the entirety of the Logan County and not just the unincorporated portion thereof. So currently, these 3 trustees are appointed, one from within the corporate city limits of the city of Guthrie, and then there's 2 from either within the corporate city limits of the city of Guthrie or within the unincorporated portion of Logan County. So Guthrie Edmond Regional Airport Board met last week and recommends that City Council approve the amendment to the 2019-2024 Joint Airport Operating Agreement.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion or questions of Shalon? All right, submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval to approve the Second Amendment to the 2019-2024 Joint Airport Operating Agreement as presented. Item number 4, discussion and possible action to adopt ordinance number 3372 to rezone property at 722 East Cleveland from R1 to R2.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. As you indicated, this is a rezone from the existing single-family to R2, which is general residential district. There's a single-family home on the property, but the applicant is wanting to put another accessory dwelling unit, and so they're looking to rezone it because currently you can only have one dwelling, and then with the R2 you can have more than one dwelling. That's, like all the rezones, not the main premise for or conditioned of the rezone. It's for land, to stand on land use merits, if you want to say. So it theoretically could be all demoed and 2-3 units could be built on there in that. But again, the main reason they're wanting to go is for the accessory dwelling unit. It does fit within the future land use map of our comprehensive plan for a limited or medium density residential.
You might know it was for a mother-in-law type course.
Yeah, basically, yeah, on the north end of their property.
And it's gonna be behind it?
And
No, it'll be on the north end.
On the north end?
Yeah.
and planning had approved it.
Yes, and I'm sorry, you're right. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. The Planning Commission had recommended 3-0. We've had similar requests like this in the different area there. Most of them had been vacant lots. This one happens to be a built lot, but all of it fits within the same land use principles that in the past rezones that have been approved.
Okay, and was there, I know neighbors had an opportunity to comment?
Yeah,
Were there any
no,
comments?
there was none written, and there was nobody at the hearing to object.
Did anybody call you?
No.
You said none written, I just wanted.
Oh, yeah, no calls either on this one.
Okay.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve, well, Leroy.
Oh, I'm sorry, Leroy?
Just to
not done yet either.
reiterate, because you're going from R1 to R2, as Dan indicated, that means anything that's eligible as a right of use under R2 could be put on this property.
And what is that?
So why do we
What
is that? That's my question.
He's gonna get to that.
I'm gonna go to that in just a second. I have no doubt that this couple will use the property as they have indicated, but you just need to note some things that would be provided by right would be a garage apartment, 2-family dwelling, multiple family dwelling, row house, boarding house, and rooming house are things that could be put on that property by going to that zone.
But they're all residential in
Correct.
Yes.
in nature.
Correct.
Many of those exist as legal nonconforming uses in that generalized area.
Could we approve it based on
No.
the original plan? You can't
No,
do that?
you can't put conditions on a, you can't put,
Not with our current zoning ordinance.
by law, you can't have conditional zoning.
You can't.
No.
When we rezoned and we set these different pods up that we've got in town, we've got the historical district downtown, you've got the area that I live in, which is the area you're talking about, which is kind of a protected area, and now you're gonna turn it loose?
What do you mean by protected
Well,
area?
we can't put tin roofs up, we can't do any of that stuff because we live in a historical district.
No, that's not in the historical area, but
It's
there
a
is.
block from my house and mine is.
Okay.
I don't understand, Dan, I'm sorry.
It's not part of an official historic district. There is an overlay district that now
That's what I'm
has
talking
design
about, the overlay
guidelines
district.
in that. And this would have to meet all of those design guidelines, whether it's an accessory dwelling unit, whether it's a 3-unit complex. By our current code, the most you could put on there for, in a density standpoint, is 3 units.
Okay, so you could have multifamily up to 3 people, 3
3 units on there.
4?
But in this particular case, I just want to make sure you're all aware, when you rezone, it opens it up to all those things.
Yes.
In this particular case, it wouldn't make economic sense for these individuals to tear their house down to do that. But you just need to be aware that it does open the door. Anytime you rezone from one zone to the other, it's not just what the property owner says they're gonna put there, it opens it up to the whole thing.
Right.
But it is protected by the
Yes. And again, this is very similar to probably 3 or 4 similar requests that have come in the council in the recent past.
I'll second.
I didn't hear the motion.
I had a motion.
You had the
Is that a
motion?
second?
Okay, I didn't hear the motion. I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Sure. All right, submit your votes. See the votes. By a vote of 5-2, the ordinance passes. We pass ordinance number 3372 to rezone the property at 722 East Cleveland from R1 to R2. Item number 5, discussion and possible action to request a special use permit to allow for daycare up to 20 people within an R1 on property located at 1421 West Noble. Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you indicated, this is a special use permit for a daycare, or actually a child, by our code, a child care center in that for up to 20 children. In the R1, you can have basically up to 6. Anything more than that requires a special use permit. The property, as you indicated, is at the corner of Noble and 14th Street. It's around a 17,500 square foot lot with around a 2,800 square foot existing home on it. In my staff report, you'll see there was a number of factors that were outlined in that. The Planning Commission did recommend approval by a 3-0 vote with 6 conditions. The conditions were the outdoor play area must be fenced, no fenced play areas allowed in the front yard, play areas must be within the side and or rear yard, drop off and pick up of children must be at the rear of the property off of 14th Street utilizing the existing driveway area. No drop off or pickup of children is allowed off of Noble Avenue. No parking is allowed on Noble Avenue or 14th Street. Off-street parking must be provided for any additional employees who are not residents of the home. Signage is limited to 1 sign not to exceed 12 square feet in size. The daycare is to remain a home-based daycare, and the operators of the daycare must be owners of the home, with the home being their primary residence. And finally, the daycare must receive and maintain applicable licensing through the State of Oklahoma Department of Human Services. So with that, if you have any questions of me, if not, as you probably see, Mayor, there's a few residents here to speak, and the applicant is here as well if you need to ask them any
Have they met
questions.
the requirements? Have they met those requirements that you just listed?
Most of them are to, if you want to say, not for, to make sure things don't, I guess, or keep compatibility with the neighborhood. Most of what's on there doesn't require any real physical other than the fenced play yard, which they already have. It just would mean they would have to maintain it. They couldn't take the
And they got
fencing
their
down.
DHS?
Yes, and the applicant is here. He can, speak more of that, but yes, they have indicated to me that they've been approved by DHS.
Okay, any other questions of Dan? I have 2 requests for comment on this. Mr. Short, Kyle Short, please identify your name.
Yeah, my name is Kyle Short. I live at 1424 West Cleveland. My property actually butts up to the facility wanting to be used, or the home wanting to be a daycare.
Okay.
My driveway is only like 40 feet from their driveway, and my concern would be if we had up to 20 kids, that there would be significantly more traffic in the evening and in the morning time during drop-off and pickup. I know they said they can use, or they've said they can put 9 cars in their driveway. I don't really see that being able to be done in that, but I mean, I just see it being a lot more traffic in the area, and I don't know, we bought this house to be a quiet place to, and fix up and live, so I mean, I think there's a lot of other buildings in town that could probably be more suited for a business type situation, so, but.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Short.
Thank you.
Mr. Porter.
My name's Kenny Porter. I live at 1501 West Cleveland. Been there for several years. My concern, along with the rest of these people, they've chosen me to speak for them because they don't all want to come up and repeat the same thing 10 or 12 times,
Okay.
if you can understand.
Good.
Is the traffic, safety of the children, and the parking problems, the noise. Like I said, during the special use meeting, I got backed into twice when the gingerbread manor was there, just trying to go home. Families backing out and picking their kids up, watching the kid in the car, not paying attention. Backed into me twice in several years there. You turn off a Noble trying to go on to 14th, and there's cars sitting there. You're sitting in the middle of Noble waiting to make your turn out on State Highway, waiting to make your turn to go home. Like I talked to Jim Case the other day about this. There was 2 or 3 cars lined up and they hadn't even started yet, have they? It's and they're unloading and loading right there off of 14th. You know, they're parking. Mom and Dad are parking across the street where Gingerbread Manor was. It's an empty lot there, and walking their kids across 14th to the front door. Pretty scary watching kids run up there by themselves. Showed Jim a video of it. Not a good place for a daycare, my thoughts of it. You know, it's pretty dangerous having those kids running around up there. Parking noise, I think there's 10 or 12 of us here all agree about this. So that's our concerns.
Okay, all right. Appreciate your input, Porter. Does the property owner wish to speak?
My name is Jacob Daughter. I'm the
Sir, wait till you get to the microphone, okay?
My name is Jacob Daughter. I'm the applicant for the special permit. I understand all their concerns regarding parking, traffic. As a daycare, we won't have anybody parking at our home. They're merely pulling up to be there for 2 minutes. They pick up their kids, they sign them out, sign them in if they're dropping them off, and then they get back in their car and they leave. There is space in my driveway to fit, 6 to 9 cars if they're pulling into the grass. That's the little gravel section next to my driveway if they're pulling into that section. But I don't foresee that many parents all coming in at the same time to pick up their kids. Even now, the kids that I do have there are stretched out so far that they're being dropped off an hour apart from each other and picked up even an hour apart from each other. So I don't foresee any large traffic issues. There have been a couple parents that have parked on the 14th Street, and I've informed all of them of the stipulations of the city council and the asking of them to not park on 14th Street and walk their kids across or anything, and they've all been informed that they should be parking in the driveway. A few of them, mom picks up this day, dad picks up this day, and I couldn't control if mom or dad relayed the message to the other, but within time, they should all know and understand that we can't park in that area, and they've all been informed of that. But I have the kids' safety at most, and currently Guthrie only has 2 or 3 daycares, and from the 0 to 3 age range, they have a 2-year waiting list. So that was one of the big factors, and the other part is that the daycares that are here in Guthrie, some of them decided not to accept school-age children this summer, and that was another big factor. So I have 4 kids myself, 3 of them are school-aged, and it was looking at not being able to put my kids in a daycare here in Guthrie and having to potentially go all the way to the city and have to pay, $3,000 to $4,000 a month just to have my kids in childcare, and that just wasn't feasible. I'm an entrepreneur, and I have a lot of business plans, and daddy-daughter daycare has been one of my business plans for about 8 years. This in-home daycare is only a temporary thing. Within 2 to 3 years, I would love to move it away from my home and actually be in an actual child care center. But under the stipulations of DHS, I can't just outright buy a building and put a center there. I have to be licensed as a child care professional for a minimum of 6 months under a permit, and then another 6 months before I'm eligible to get my director's license and run a child care facility. So hopefully within a year, that's my goal, is to have my director's license, and then within a year after that, have a facility built so I can bring another child care facility to Guthrie, and that we don't have as long a waiting list for our daycares.
So what are you licensed for now?
Currently, I've been licensed since May 27th for my permit, and that allows me under DHS to watch up to 7 kids. And one of those one of those 7 are one of my kids that count against me because they're not over the age of 5 in the home.
Okay.
So, but isn't the plan for more than 7?
The plan is, yes, but the DHS won't allow me to get more than 7 until I've either hired another child care worker, which I do have one employee in mind, and then the other employee won't come until we're ready to gear up to move into a facility. But that's a little sister of mine that lives in Edmond. She's been in the child care business since she was eligible to work.
So I've done a lot of research on this, and 7 is the max in a residential neighborhood
For a permit, yes, sir.
for an in-home daycare.
According,
And my concern is it's going to go to 20 real quick because other people are going to be hired.
that's potential, even within the first 6 months, I can only have 7 per worker, sir.
Per worker.
Yes, sir. But the DHS stipulation is that after you hit that 6 month and you're licensed for it's called a large in-home daycare. That 6 month mark allows you to go up to 12 children.
See, I agree that we need another daycare in town, but I think it needs to be in an area that's going to accommodate the daycare. That's just my opinion.
I agree with you there, sir. That's why the plan is to eventually move out of my in-home daycare and have an actual location for these children.
You can understand he's trying to conserve his own funds too.
I understand that also, but by the same token, if we approve this, there's nothing that stops you from hiring somebody else, bringing on 7 more kids immediately, tomorrow.
After 6 months.
No, immediately.
No, immediately, yes, sir. That is part of the plan, is so that we can get up, because without the revenue, I won't be, and the amount of kids, I won't be able to transfer to a facility. So getting that revenue in as soon as possible is of course part of the business plan.
Yeah, so I get that, but, go ahead, Steve.
So the number of children is really predicated upon the number of helpers that you have, not, is there any
Yes,
kind of
sir.
square footage calculation?
There is
that
square
DHS
footage.
requires?
I'm required a minimum of 34 square foot per child, and that's for the ages 2 and over. And currently, because of the other licensing and everything that DH has, I'm only accepting 2 and over, because until I am able to take on more kids, taking on any children under 2 and under reduces my ratio count. So if I were to take on a couple infants, I can therefore only have like 5 kids under my care. And so the ratio reduces per their age bracket as well.
I have a question. What
Yes,
about
sir.
the dog? I've heard all kinds of stories about your dog.
I have 2 dogs, sir. I'm not sure which one.
Well, I heard it's a pit Rottweiler.
Negative, sir. I don't have a Rottweiler. One is a pit mix. He's a terrier, but he's a very gentle dog. The other is a large white tan dog, but he's not I think he might be part Mastiff. But I have 2 separate yards. I have one fenced in on the side where all the playground equipment and everything is, and that's where I take the children to play and everything. And then the dogs are in the backyard, and I don't allow them out into the house or out of their kennel while the other children are there. And I always make sure they travel safely from the outdoor to the kennel. And I don't let them interact with the children during the daycare as a just-in-case factor. I mean, they are dogs. Like I said, I always have the safety of the children first in mind.
And you've seen the conditions that were set forward by the Planning Commission.
Yes, sir.
And if approved, you agree to implement all of those? I guess you
Yes,
have
sir.
to.
And currently, I meet all those conditions currently, sir.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
I commend you on your efforts to run a business and the need in the city. However, this is my neighborhood and my constituents, and I'll have to agree with what they've already spoken.
Well, we've kind of, we had a similar situation here just a council meeting or 2 ago, right across the street. Now, granted, they wanted to move it from residential to commercial, but they still wanted to make it a daycare. And that was turned down.
Sir, are you talking, in reference to the previous council meeting, that gentleman didn't want to make a daycare.
Or whatever, there was an option to make a
There were a
daycare.
few of the neighborhood people that were here that said they would be okay with it being a daycare. Hearing that, I offered to buy that property, but that gentleman is not willing to sell. He's actually holding on to that for as long as he can. He wants no less than $120,000 for it, but doesn't actually plan to sell it. And he wanted to put a convenience store on the location.
Well, I
Well,
think a number of us have identified that there clearly is a need for this kind of service of care
Yes, sir.
in our community and in other communities,
But our
somewhat
code-
COVID-driven.
Of allowing 5.
Pardon?
Our code, the city's code of allowing 5, the way I interpret that is grandma wants to take care of some of her grandkids, or you want to try the daycare to see if that's something you want to get into, that allows you to try that. To me, that's as far as it should go in a residential area. You've got your, however many kids you have, you've got your 5 there that the city allows. If you like it, then find you a place and move somewhere commercially. And, you know, I just can't support it being right where it's at.
I think that's my biggest problem too, Don.
Well, that's-
Being on the highway.
Well-
Just a bad spot.
And there are several other opinions like that that I have about the business setup, but technically, we're supposed to look at the special use permit. And by our ordinances and what we allow, I interpret them as, like I say, some grandma wants to, say she wants to keep 3 of her grandkids and take on a couple others to help with expenses, or somebody like yourself wants to get into the business and kind of get a taste of it to see if they're interested in getting bigger. I think that ordinance allows for that, but I think it's saying, well, someday 20, maybe more. I think we're overstepping what that ordinance is set up to do if we approve this.
But there's a huge need, you know, there
Yeah,
is.
I don't argue the fact that
And where I
there is a need.
live, I've lived there 20 years on the corner of Warner and 18th. And for 12 of those years, there was a daycare across the street from me. And I can say that there's noises associated with that, there's traffic associated, there's things associated with that I didn't like either, so. I can understand what you guys are explaining.
All right, any other questions? You're the, come on. Identify yourself.
Adrian Daughter. And I just wanted to re-clarify that you do have to have a practice of running a daycare for at least a year before you're allowed to become a director. So, and you have to be a director in order to have a facility. So please keep that in mind, that you do have to have that practice in running a daycare for a year before you're allowed per state to have a facility.
But if he continues on with the 5 that's allowed, he can run that for a year. We're not saying that he can't go by those.
I'm sorry, I had to come back up. If I'm only allowed to run 5 kids for a whole year, that's not sustainable, sir.
It's what?
It's not sustainable for myself, my family, a business of any kind. I'm only charging $120 per kid. I am on the cheap end of any facility because I'm trying to help families and make this a strong effort to make sure people that actually need care have care. And like, even if I decided to do things like accept DHS subsidy, if I'm only allowed 5 kids and they're all DHS subsidy, that's only $50 a week per kid. Nobody can survive on that. So if I want to be able to take on people that really need help and qualify through benefits through the state, that's not a sustainable business plan. And if we continue that in Guthrie, nobody will ever be able to open a new daycare in Guthrie at all.
And I know you've identified that this is a stepping stone in your plan, your entrepreneurial plan, and you want to move into something that is more built, if you will, for a daycare environment. but reality is there's no guarantee of that, is there? Yes, sir. Yeah. Any other questions, gentlemen? I'll entertain a motion then to,
I make a motion to deny.
I second.
a motion to deny.
Can
In
you
a
do
second.
that?
Yeah.
The,
And that's not the normal.
That's not the
motion.
normal.
Normally you make the positive motion.
You make the motion and then you say no.
Or you
Yeah.
don't make a motion at all.
No, you make the motion and then you say
okay,
you
all
vote
right.
no.
I'm accepting a motion to deny, just so
Okay.
that you understand that if you vote yes, you are voting to deny.
Okay.
Does everybody understand that?
Yes is no. No is
Okay.
yes. Left
And
is
that has
right,
been
right's left.
seconded. That's a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Okay, so the motion is to deny the request. A yes denies, a no approves.
That's correct.
That's perfect. It doesn't approve.
It doesn't approve.
It doesn't approve.
Yes means you agree with Jeff.
Yes.
You want to deny this,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion to deny the request. We're squared away. Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. It's unanimous to deny the request for the use of that property as a daycare. And I hope you find an alternative site. Item number 6, discussion and possible action to adopt ordinance number 3373, amending Chapter 13 nuisances by repealing Article 7 in the graffiti section and creating a new Article 7 in the graffiti section and declaring an emergency for the implementation. Leroy, are you handling that?
City attorney.
City attorney, okay.
I'll take.
Billy?
So this is at the request of Guthrie Police Department, certain officers. I think you guys have been aware the graffiti has been an issue here for quite some time. And I think the bottom line is they're tired of it. All over town, I know the Apothecary Garden's been hit regularly. And so that is the intent here is to give some teeth to the ordinance. Our old ordinance did not have very much teeth. This one has some consequences. It allows cleanup, it allows tickets to be written, holds parents responsible. I think it's something that's
It adds some teeth.
it just adds teeth to the ordinance. So that's the purpose of it. It is put on here as to give you the option of an emergency. That's the determination of the council whether that is an emergency or not, but this is something that law enforcement has identified as a need and have been pushing for.
Hey, Billy, did we ever get the cameras put up so we can figure out who's over there doing that?
I do not know, but I know that there have been some.
That's probably something you don't want to talk about on TV.
Or maybe we do.
There were
That
private
they're
cameras.
there.
Somebody had.
I'm gonna
Okay.
make a motion
we
to
have-
approve regardless.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
Does it have to be an emergency?
Why not? That way we can go ahead and arrest the bastards tomorrow.
No, I don't see a problem with an emergency here.
Is that with the emergency clause?
Yes, it is.
Yeah?
Well, that's two separate motions, two separate motions. So this is just.
It's got to be two separate deals, yeah.
Two separate deals.
All right, so well, the motion has been made to adopt ordinance number 3323, and that's been seconded. Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes? Unanimous approval then to adopt ordinance number 3373. And now I'll entertain a motion to make that an emergency.
So move to declare an emergency.
We have a motion here. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
No, in this one, I don't think it will.
Any discussion?
Oh, that was a discussion.
Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous then to make that declaring an emergency, approving the emergency clause with that declaration. Item number 7, discussion possible action. Oh, I'm sorry. That was the one that we just did.
Yes.
Okay. City manager report.
I have no additional report
Okay.
tonight.
City council report.
Nothing.
Councilman Long.
We won't have another meeting before our July 2nd Red Brick Nights, first Saturday in July will be Red Brick Nights with fireworks as well, so come on out.
It will be awesome as always. Good. Vice Mayor Case.
I'm looking forward to the Red Brick Nuts. That's all I'm saying.
Councilman Bothroyd.
Nothing tonight.
Okay. Councilman Channel.
One little bone, throw out to the PD. I read a deal today where some lady on the west side came home and
I did too.
her front door was standing open, and I guess somebody was in her house. She saw the guy and she called the PD, and she said in no time the PD responded and was over there, a whole bunch of them with their guns pointing. And I guess he ran out the back, but he was in there loading up the PlayStation, television, and all that kind of stuff. And those guys, you know, they have everyday stuff, but too, they never get acknowledged for what they do. That was one that they came in and stopped the deal and kept the lady from harm. She called out a couple officers. I can't remember their names. I wasn't that observant, but it's a way to go, guys.
On that, can I jump back in for just a
I don't think
second?
so.
No, you're done, Jim.
You're done.
Go ahead.
I was at El Rodeo today eating lunch with Jake Zerden, and there were a bunch of police officers came in. J.W. Williams was there. I don't know who the other two were, but they all sat down beside us, and we had just finished eating, and we left, and we drove up to my shop, which is only like a block back to the west. And we're sitting up. We had just got out of the truck, and there's 3 cop cars go flying down. They had just got their food when we left. And every one of them got up and left and went on this call. So, and that happens every day to these guys. So Don, thanks.
Yep.
Okay. Councilman Williams.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Councilman Taylor.
Staff, thank you. Sorry, Dan. One of my pet peeves, guys, stop running the red lights. I watched one on the way into town tonight. The guy pulled up on South Division and just turned on a red light and just drove right, and I almost hit him. So please pay attention and quit running red lights. It's becoming.
PD's looking for a few good guys.
Yeah, I know.
Hit him next
Anyway,
time.
that's my 2 cents.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the, everybody that was involved, John Pagonis and so forth with the Renaissance Fair. Big turnout for that. Juneteenth had a nice celebration and turnout down in Mineral Wells. And of course, looking forward to one of the signature events in Guthrie. Red Brick Nights just before the 4th is people come from all over
I
to
can tell you the
experience that.
Lieutenant Governor said this is one of the best events he's been to.
It is. No question about it. No question about it. Item number 10, approval, consider approval to convene into executive session for the purposes of discussing matters pertaining to economic development, transfer of property financing, and creating a proposal to entice businesses to remain or locate within the city.
So moved.
Have a motion? Is there a second? I missed the second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Submit your votes. See the votes. Councilman Bothroyd.
Sorry about that.
Sure?
I'm kind of up in the air on it.
Okay. Unanimous approval to move into executive session. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back if you want to stay.
Stay, it's always fun after executive session. do.
where we're needing to go.
We pleased everybody tonight, Don, they left.
Yeah, I'm sure that was it.
Pleased everybody. Well, all but one.
I know two that were so happy.
You go out first, Jim, let me know.
I don't mind, I'll go out first.
I'll go
Okay,
first.
item number 11, vote to come out of executive session. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Mitch votes.
All votes are in?
See your votes.
Did you ever get your code?
Councilman Case.
I just had to.
You just had to do
I
it,
just
didn't
had
you?
to. I just
Okay,
had to.
well,
I
it's
had to
6 to
pull
1.
Ryan on you,
6 to
so.
1, we are still coming out of executive
All right,
session.
regardless of my
Item number
objection.
12, action concerning, no action being taken concerning the agreement and the new development. That being last item on our agenda, we're adjourned. Thank you very much.